Hello, welcome back to St Michael's Hill. In today's video we're going to look again at the old Hornby HST modifications. I said last week, in the last video from this series, which if you haven't seen is probably a good place to start, and I'll put the link in the little I section now, but in that I kind of said I need to look at the prototypes to check on the back window here, and also it's generally just a good thing to do if you're going to kind of model something, is obviously look at the prototypes, look at what you want to do, and yeah, go from there. So I'm actually going to remove this one, and I'm going to look at the buffer fitting HST. So there are, I believe it was 8 examples of the class that were fitted with buffers. So now a couple of those are with Network Rail, the new measurement train, and the rest I think are with East Midlands trains or in storage. But back in the late 90s, when the period where St Michael's Hill is based around, they were working for cross-country under the Intercity Swallow livery, and then into privatisation they were with Virgin cross-country. Running in their kind of red and black or dark grey livery with the 3 white stripes. So I'm going to have a look at what prototypes I'm going to base these 2 models on. Like I said in the first video, I quite want one to be Intercity and one to be Virgin. I will quickly show you the prototypes that I've chosen to base these models on, a few photos that I've got off the internet, and then we'll discuss the next steps. So the Intercity livery I'm going to base this on is 43080. So I'll show you these pictures. So as you can see, it does have the back window. It's not very clear in this image, but another one I'll show you in a minute is a lot clearer. The buffer beam has been painted in red, and obviously there's various pipes and things coming from it. So this is the effect I want to go for. I will go for quite a heavy weathered look, and I will probably try and recreate some of this distressed red stripe around the nose. It's also interesting to note that the very front here, where the cab section joins the main body, the white is just slightly different, so it just looks like it's either that's where the dirt kind of accumulates, or potentially the cab was replaced at some point, maybe even during the conversion to a buffer fitted version. So I might look to do that, although it's kind of one of those things in real life you don't question it, but in model form it might look a little bit odd and like a mistake. So you can see that a little bit clearer on some of these other photos. Yeah, here's a good one. So you can see here the colour white is very pronounced difference where it comes to the cab, so it's quite dirty and almost kind of a faded grey, although certainly not as dark as the kind of shade beyond the red stripe at the behind the radiators, but yeah, it's certainly a lot lighter. So I will look to kind of potentially look to model that, although I'm not exactly sure whether that will look great in model form or not. But yeah, this will be the power car that I'm basing this body shell on. As you can see already, like this shade of beige is totally wrong anyway. So that needs to be done again in white. I'm not sure about the grey. I think if you compare the two, it's kind of, I think, quite different. So I'll probably look to just do a complete respray, which will be a challenge for sure, but nothing that I shouldn't be able to do. So I'm going to look to do that. And then the second one, so the one that's currently in a fetching blue colour, I'm going to be turning into 43068. So that was a Virgin version, so I had the complete front end all in yellow. So this didn't last for too long. and it has the cross-country branding. I'm not sure if you can quite see that on camera, but it's got the Virgin cross-country branding. So I'm going to look to recreate this with the other power car body. There was a period as well when it ran as the Cornishman, which had this rather odd nameplate fitted, or not fitted, just stuck to the roof here. So I might look to do that, although it depends largely on whether the transfers are available, and it's one of those, it kind of makes it look a little bit odd, but certainly something that I might look to recreate. It's something that not everyone has on their layout, so it could be quite an interesting thing. Interestingly as well, the pipe work seems to be a lot less intense on the on this version. I'm not sure whether that's normal or which, but it's one of those things that I will try and recreate each one. Also, the cowling at the front here, you can see is been completely removed where the old access panel would have been. So again, it's just something that's just important to make sure that I'm going to be recreating as the prototype. So that's what I'm going to look to do. As you can see, currently that's not the case. The kit instructions were just to basically sand this down so it's flush, which I've done, but I will look to recreate that by removing that section, or part of that section there, up to probably where those rivets are. So that's something that I'm going to do before I continue with the model. Incidentally, if we look again at 43080, we can see actually that part of the access hatch is still there, so it's just a little difference between the two that I'm going to look to pick out. So there you go, with a razor saw I've just cut that access panel out. I probably will need to just sand down some of the edges at some point, but I will get that done before I start the painting. I'm going to probably end up painting the body shells before or alongside, but separately to putting the buffer beam detailing on. I'm going to have a quick look through the instructions for that now, and just to make sure that the buffer beams do actually get added to the chassis. Otherwise, it's not going to work too well. But I'll have a look through that now with you, and we'll go from there. So as you can see on the Hursts kit instructions, we're going to need to place the buffers straight onto the chassis, and then the body will be placed on top. So what I will do initially, as I've only got one chassis, is to build the kit, and then I'll be able to switch body shells. So for at least initially, they won't be able to run together at the same time until I find a chassis that I can use to add the additional buffers on. But because of the way the buffers fit straight onto the chassis, I will be able to just swap the body shells at will, which will be quite nice. It does look like a fairly complicated kit to turn this piece of flat brass into, as you can see here, quite a 3D piece is going to be a challenge. It's not something I've done before, so I'll get on with it and let you know how I get on. The first thing it says that we need to do is to obviously cut off the fairing, which we've done. Then we also need to have a little play with the chassis to remove a few of the bits on there. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll get back to you. So here's the chassis as you see it now. What we're going to need to do is remove this section here that comes off. So basically we're going to look to make it a flush line. So I'm just going to use a razor saw to take that off, and then we'll be on to the next section of the kit. So there we go, I've now taken off that piece of plastic to leave us with a flush surface to work on. So now I need to get involved with the brass. So first of all, I need to cut out the main panel, and I've already actually done that. So as you can see, that's the main section cut out from the sprue. I'm now basically going to need to fold up various sides and all that sort of stuff to create a piece that works. Now, having a look at it, this section in the middle here is what's going to attach to the front of the chassis in the support, and then obviously this section here is going to be part of where the buffers go, and then in addition we then have some additional elements on here that are going to complete that buffer section, and then a coupling hook on the front. The only thing I'll then need to do is just to find some kind of detailing pipes, so hoses and all that sort of stuff, and then fit the buffers. So they are already provided their white metal, and there's also these metal cylinders which are basically used as a support. So I'm going to have a go. It's probably going to be done off camera, and I will get back to you once I've made some progress. So the first stage of the brass work has been done, so all this has been bent into place. This basically is going to slide onto there. Probably easier if I show you without using my fingers to hold it, but yeah, it's effectively going to go something like that, and then we'll be able to add the additional parts. So the next thing to do is to get these parts in, although I will need to either solder or super glue them together. I'm probably going to use a little bit of super glue. Then I'm going to be adding the buffers and cylinders. So this metal cylinder needs to be a little bit cleared up, but basically that's going to fit in that gap there, and then the buffer will place through. There's an actual hole in the end of here, so it'll fit through like that, although it's the other way around. So that piece will go in there. The buffer then fits into the hole at the end, and the unit will be complete. So once I've done that, I'll get it all in position. Then I'm going to need to make a bit more of a modification on the body shell. So I just need to cut a notch either side of that on the corners. Let me just show you on the instructions. So yeah, I just need to cut the notches in the body there, and it'll be ready. So I'll carry on working on that. Get back to you when it's done. So the buffer unit is now put together. Just waiting for some of the glue to dry, but then it needs to be placed onto the front of the chassis. Just going to kind of go on the front like this, and we'll be ready to go. Now the buffers have been fitted to the chassis. I've used super glue to get it on there. There is a little bit of excess you can see on the bottom side here, but it's not going to be shown, so it's not too much of an issue. And I'll probably sand that down lightly once it's all dried, but I just wanted to make sure that it had a fairly good adhesion. There's not actually too much contact between the vertical face here and the buffer beam, but yeah, it's gone on. It's pretty sturdy, so quite happy with that. I'm going to leave that overnight to dry. So I've now left that overnight, and the glue's dried very solidly. Certainly there's no play in it now. And yeah, it looks fairly good. I still need to obviously hit this with a layer of primer, and then maybe sand down a few edges and things like that, just to tidy it all up a little bit. But yeah, I'm generally very happy with how it looks structurally, and yeah, very kind of, it's gone together quite easily, and quite pleased with how that's gone in. One thing I was looking at yesterday, there's two things. Firstly, obviously there's no exhaust cover on this model, and I need to pick one up from somewhere. At the moment I cannot find any on eBay or anything that are available, so I will have to kind of have a look at that, whether it means having to buy a whole new body shell. I don't know. That would obviously be slightly annoying, and would eventually leave me with another body shell that wasn't complete. The other thing is with the other HST, I've had a look again at 43080, and as you can see, the cowling on the front kind of comes up and it goes straight across, but it still leaves some of that hatch. On the model version at the moment, it's just completely flush, so I'm going to need to, when I take out the notches for the buffers to sit into, I'm going to need to just go across the front of the grill with a razor saw or something and get rid of it. One thing I'm going to quickly check is whether this the bogie which goes in the front of the chassis actually fits with the new buffer cowling in place. So I'm just going to do that, and we'll have a look together and see how that fits. Hopefully there's no problems. So as you have no doubt seen, putting the bogie back in has flipped the buffer beam straight off. So I'm going to have a look at that, make sure that anything that, or if I need to replace it or anything, and then I'll get back to you. So having re-looked at the pictures more than the instructions and trying out the body, it appears that I actually need to cut some of this off as well, so in line with the bottom of here, so the buffer beam sits flush on this surface, this curved surface here. So it doesn't actually seem to say that in the instructions. I've gone over it, I don't think it says it, but yeah, I think I need to kind of do that now, and I'll get back to you when it's done. So I've now trimmed that off so it's flush. Just need to clear up that little kind of raised edge. I'll just file that down or sand that down, and then the buffer beams now fit flush. Will fit flush on this section here, which it gives a lot more surface for glue, but also obviously will mean that the bogie does not get in the way. So minor error by me, not sure if it was me not reading the instructions properly or just the instructions not being very clear, but no harm done. I just need to get that down, and then I'm going to try and file off some of these glue marks. So I'll get back to you once that is done. So I've now glued that in place. As you can see, it now fits around the edge that was already there, and it actually fits properly. So quite happy with that. I'm going to basically leave that to dry overnight, and then I will hit it up with a primer after I've checked that the bogie fits properly this time, and also that the body shell is going to kind of fit in the right place. So it's the next day now, and I've done a little bit of work on the body shell. So as I said, I've cut a small groove out of this one, which allows the buffers to fit on unblocked basically. The other one I have chopped the notches for the buffers and obviously removed the access plate. I've actually fitted the body shell on, so as you can see the notches fit very well. The body actually kind of goes around, and then the access panel's been removed there, so I'm very happy with that, how that's gone on, how it looks. So the next stage really is to get these ready for painting. I'm going to need to prime obviously the buffers, and then I'm going to need to strip the paint off of this body, as well as another one for the failed HST. So I'll basically bring you that in a future episode, where I probably will respray all three at the same time. So the next episode of this series is going to be looking at the failed HST, and how I'm going to work around that and get that looking right as well. But generally I'm pretty happy with how the buffers have gone together on this. I will show you in a second how they look on the other power car, just because it is slightly different with the different front ends. So I'll do that now, and then that'll probably be the end of the video. And here's the other body shell with the buffers attached. As you can see, it's quite a different profile, but again, really quite like the way they look. If anything, I prefer this one. I generally do, but that's fine. It's quite nice to just have a slight difference. The unpainted body shell at the moment is somewhat more difficult to get on and off. I've had to basically just file a little bit of the plastic away on the back end here, just to kind of make it slightly easier to go on and off. Obviously at this stage I don't really want to risk the buffers. What I have decided probably will be best is if I build the other set and get a new chassis just to put them on, just because I think with all the taking the bodies on and off there's more risk of them being damaged, and I do have the other set, so I will do that at some point. I will potentially look to use solder instead of super glue as well, just because I think it's going to be slightly better at holding the metal pieces together. But yeah, I will probably bring you that at some point later down the road. That's it for today's video. In the next part I'll be looking, like I said, at the failed HST, looking at how I'm going to do that, and then in the third part I'll be basically looking at the repaint, so stripping all the paint off and going about kind of repainting them, finishing them off, and yeah, that will be what we're doing on this project. So keep an eye out. If you like this video, hit that like button, and if you want to see more content like this from me, hit the subscribe button, and that notification bell will keep you up to date when I'm putting new content up. Thanks very much for the support, and I'll see you again soon at St Michael's Hill. Cheers, bye.